Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Shorten Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.
From Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Riegel. It's business, Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. Health and wellness is big business today. Between 2013 and 2015, the global wellness industry grew nearly 11%, from $3.3 trillion to more than $3.7 trillion, and it is continuing to grow. For local entrepreneurs, that's creating a lot of opportunities, and that also means a lot of competition. Joining me today to talk about health and wellness is Nicole Cummins, the owner of Barre, a boutique fitness studio that's part of a Portland, Oregon-based chain with more than 130 locations around the country. Barre offers a full-body, low-impact cardio workout that incorporates long holds, micromovements, and the traditional ballet bar. Nicole brought Barre to Baton Rouge in January 2017 when she opened the first and so far only location in the local market in the Acadian Village Shopping Center. Today, between 300 and 500 members a week come through the studio to take one of the dozens of classes. Nicole, it's a really cool concept. Thanks for being here today to tell us about it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Also joining me and Nicole is Kirk Vidrine, a nutritionist and kinesiologist who recently left a position as a corporate wellness director for a major petrochemical company to branch out on his own with a new company called VWell Solutions that is marketing wellness programs to small and mid-sized companies in the region. And in conjunction with that, Kirk has also created a healthy eating and weight loss program called Fit Foodies that teaches users through videos, blogs, and detailed recipes how to cook and eat healthful meals that will help you lose weight in 8 weeks. Kirk, it's a great product, and I know it's a fascinating process of trying to launch something like this. You're learning something every day?
No, it's been very, very exciting. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Well, Nicole, let me start with you. You were a teacher with Teach for America in New Orleans for several years before you got involved with Barre. What made you want to go from teaching school to teaching Barre and eventually become a franchise owner?
That's a great question. It was a natural transition. It doesn't seem like it was. I was working with public schools in New Orleans, and I had started to work out a lot. I had been through this kind of whole health journey on my own. And I'm always like a typical Teach for America candidate, a little bit type A, always like, what's next? What else can I do? What more can I do? And I was like, well, what's the good of being just like the best exerciser in class? Great, you're so good at exercising. So like, what more can I do with it? So I started teaching Barre because it opened up right around the corner from my house. And that was really fun. And then sooner or later, I started spending so much time where it was like, I felt sad to leave Barre to go to my other job. And so the balance just started to tip. So like the part-time job started to feel like I wanted it to be my full-time job. And so I still keep in touch with a lot of my students. So it still is like a seesaw.
Right. Okay.
So I jumped in, I moved to Baton Rouge, and here we are.
And Barre is different than, it's a low impact, but it is a cardio workout.
Exactly.
You get your heart rate up so you can burn fat.
It's a 60-minute full body balance workout. It combines strength training, cardio, and mindfulness. So you get a little bit of everything. You can kind of check all the boxes. I know, especially with limited time, you're like, do I do yoga? Do I go for a run? Do I, what? I want to do it all. Should I do meditation?
It's so
There's so many things you can do. And so we just check as many of the boxes as we mindfully can, right? Okay. It's not like scrounging around trying to do it all. It's picking the things that we think are going to have the biggest impact.
It's such an awesome concept when you have such busy lives now, to be able to do things quickly and in one fell swoop and get your workout in and feel good about yourself and then move on with life. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Well, Kirk, tell us about your concept, because VWell Solutions kind of blends two different things, right? You have the corporate wellness that you're hoping to market and trying to already have a couple of smaller companies.
We're working with a couple of places. And so when we talk about wellness, my history has been a couple decades in the health and wellness programming, in education, that sort of stuff. And over the last 5 years, I took the big challenge of trying to have a legitimate impact on people in our company, not just to put stuff out there, but have people actually get healthier, actually work better, less stress, more production. And the programs we put together actually worked. We saw reductions in obesity, we saw improvements in morale scores, we saw huge improvements in people being safer at work, people being more productive at work, things that actually happen and not just good ideas. And that's really exciting for me. And the reason I do this is because of a specific statistic. In our country, every year, 325,000 people die directly due to obesity. And that's a scary number.
Yeah.
And it's made worse when you think about how that matches other things. When you talk about HIV, homicides, and car accidents, if you take the deaths from those three numbers, add them together, and multiply it by 10, you're still not to the level that obesity is causing death in our country. It's a real big issue. And in Louisiana, my home, and
we're the
place
worst.
we love,
We're on the bottom of every list, or the top, depending on how you're right.
second only to Mississippi.
Yeah.
But we lose 15 years of our life because of our obesity rate. And with that kind of impact, I wanted to not just put things out there, but to have a real effect. And when you find out, when you do this inside of a company, because we spend so much time at work and because our lives are so busy, if you can affect people at work, you can change their entire environment at home and at work and make an actual impact. And we're seeing these processes work when you implement them the right way.
So what are some of these processes that you brought to your former employer and now that you're trying to bring to
that I bring to
clients?
companies? Yeah, so I have a 3-step approach that I've seen be very effective. And the first part is education, right? And education needs to be exciting and it needs to be relative. So everybody wants to know how to be healthier and to be more productive and happier. But a lot of times our education is just wallpaper. It's just stuff we kind of stick on the wall and nobody really pays attention. You have to engage people by giving exciting information that they really want to know about. They want to know about the paleo diet and the Mediterranean diet and all these other concepts. And if you don't talk about them and you just tell them, hey, yo, apples are good for you. Well, yeah, no duh. You want something much more interesting to capture people's attention. But once you have them, then you have to engage that education in some type of skill. So we start with education and we move to challenges. Different types of events and challenges you can do at the office that are simple and to the point and engage their education to create new habits and skills they implement. Not only does this make it a fun place to go to work, but also allows them to take what they know and actually use it in a way that develops those skills so they can take it into their regular life. And the last thing that we do is we support people by environmental changes. So we provide health coaching 101, but you also want to change how your environment is at the office. Make the things that make people more productive, happier, and healthier easier and more fun to do, and then things that kind of distract us and make things harder to do at work, you make those more difficult to get there. So you come in and you rearrange the office, rearrange the things that come into the office, and people will respond to that because it's too hard for us to swim upstream all the time.
Well, so this wellness thing it's a big business, as I mentioned when I was introducing y'all. You know, statistically, I think I quoted $3.7 trillion. It's probably closer to $4 trillion today. Nicole, of that, the boutique fitness piece of that pie is about $500 billion. So what do you get from being part of a franchise operation? What kind of support do they give you? Is it online marketing? What kind of materials? And
so much of the stuff I just take for granted, like all of the branding things, right? Like
the brand, yeah, that's huge.
Even the way the studio looks, every Barre 3 studio, you're going to see similar features. So much of that, it's like breathing. It just exists and you forget about it and you're like, I don't know, what do they give me? And you're like, oh,
everything.
So much. They do a lot of the innovation around the class and making sure that our workout is always current, it's always innovative, it's always staying up to date with the latest exercise science.
So do they set the actual programming and the routines, for instance, that you follow in class? Or
they provide as much or as little framework as you need. They have guidelines. They offer choreography. So if you want to teach a whole class that they have planned, you can do that, or you can use their guidelines and work within the framework to make sure that the class is always going to be balanced, even if you're combining your own pieces of it.
Interesting. Okay. And how many instructors do you have?
Myself included, there's 8 of us.
Oh, wow.
And do they give
That's
you,
nice.
Guidelines on that as well? I mean, the target size and
They,
everything?
Yes and no. There's always a limit. They're like, here's what we think is a good idea, but you own your business. You know your studio best. You know your market best. So they give you the flexibility. I always like to be in a position to have more instructors than we need, because so many things come up. Someone needs to go out of town for a while. Someone has to move. Things happen, and you want to be able to absorb that without having to teach 12 to 15 classes a week yourself, which is hard, because when you're teaching Barre 3, you're doing a lot of it with people. It's a very physical job, so you're not just a body in the room. So it's always nice to have a little bit of room to grow, so that when we add classes, we're ready to go. And so it's just kind of, you just feel it out. Everybody's different, every team's different. Some people want to teach a lot of classes. Some people are like, I just want to teach a few classes. I'm doing this with a full-time job.
Right.
So,
well, Kirk, you're growing this on your own without
Yes.
the benefit of a franchise operator, or to provide the marketing materials. How is it setting out on your own? And have you?
I've been lucky. So I've had some good people that I've hired out to work with, and they've been great. And it's pretty exciting for me. I enjoy this kind of stuff. And building a brand and getting out there and getting support has been fantastic. So I haven't had too much trouble with it so far.
How have you been marketing your brand?
Well, a lot of it has been word of mouth. I'm getting out to a lot of companies and just touching base with the HR directors, the safety directors, or anybody in there, and talking to them about the offerings that we can do for their businesses. And of course, we do a lot of social media work where we put out, on a regular basis, I put out videos and articles on health topics to try and educate people in a way that they would like to know, to try and not only build brand awareness, but just give back to the community and give some legitimate information on how health science works. A lot of times we run into all these various questions and we get people kind of spouting out their opinions, or they're not really relevant opinions, or it's very dogmatic, and you want to try and give people the information that is useful and let them make up their own minds as to what they think they should do.
So as I understand your model, you're selling like a corporate wellness program if you went to a company with 100 employees, or say
Right.
50, something like that. But then you also have your Fit Foodies
Right, I'm
program,
so proud
which
of
is
that.
this 8-week, very extensively well-researched,
Thank you. Yeah.
3 or 4 meals per week with the
Right.
ingredients and the shopping lists and the recipes
Well,
and everything.
So when I got down, for the past 20 years, when working with people and trying to help people from everywhere, from bodybuilders and pro athletes to soccer moms and donut dads and everybody in between, I've been trying to help people be healthier and not hate their lifestyle to do it. I mean, too much of us go into fitness just like, okay, we're going to eat salads and run till we die, and that's how we're going to lose weight, and that's miserable. And I'm a foodie at heart. I love to cook. I make my own mustard. I'm just out of my mind on it. And I love food, and I'm thin and healthy, and it's because the food I love happens to be healthy for me. It's an accident that makes me skinny. I wanted to build a program that did that for people, that not only taught them the nutrition that they need and want to know, but more importantly gave the habits and the skill sets to them to build a lifestyle instead of just another diet. And so for 8 weeks, every day they get information, a piece at a time. But more importantly, they get a habit and a guide, a food action plan that says, this is what we're going to focus on this week. I'm going to make it as easy for you as possible. These are what you're going to cook. This is the stuff you're going to do for homework. Here's your grocery list, everything you need so you can just take off and run with it. And over the weeks, it builds into you kind of adapt it to make it fit your lifestyle so that it becomes yours over and over and over again. And when that happens and people graduate after 8 weeks, they move on to where they can do this for the rest of their life, and they don't need people always jumping on a new diet trend.
And how much does this? How have you known how to price this? Or people, how much does it cost for this 8-week ticket to eternal health and bliss? Right.
So at this point, it's $150 to join the program. We looked out to the market and we didn't know exactly where to price it. And I set the price and I said, I want this to be accessible to everybody. So not just people who are wealthy, but even college kids who want to just eat better. I want the word to get out to learn the skills, the more important part of nutrition.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking to Kirk Vidrine of V-Well Solutions and Nicole Cummins of Barre 3. We'll be right back after this very short break. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Regal. I'm talking to Kirk Vidrine of V-Well Solutions and Nicole Cummins of Barre 3. And Nicole, Barre 3, I know is not inexpensive, but people buy like a monthly package or a
Exactly. So
6-month
there's
package.
options kind of for everyone. If you want to come a lot every month, you can do the unlimited monthly package, and it's $140 a month. And we tried to do some market research and price that at what we felt like was maybe a little bit less than a typical boutique studio, because we do want people to be able to come and afford to make it a part of their life. And then there's also class packages. So you can get a single class package, a 5-class package. If you're just popping in, if you're incorporating this into like cross training because you're training for a half marathon, or if you want to be able to come but it's a treat and you can only pop in every now and then. So we have kind of options for everyone.
Do they charge different amounts in different cities? Or?
They do, yeah.
Okay, so how is Baton Rouge? Are we
right,
fairly
so-
reasonable?
Definitely reasonable compared to, for example, like New York City.
I was gonna
for
say.
them, 2 weeks is still more than we charge for the whole month.
What do they charge for 2 weeks?
More than $140.
Okay.
But I just want to, Barre 3 is great for 2 reasons I think distinguishes you guys. One, in my practice, what I've seen over years is that balance is underutilized as an exercise form, and people fall and hurt themselves a lot after they cross certain age brackets. And we don't do anything to deal with that in our training. So to be able to add balance training into your regular training is a huge benefit. And the other thing, the idea of making going workout fun and a family atmosphere. Too many times we go into gyms and it's intimidating, and people at the gyms can intimidate you from going there.
Right,
and
totally.
the point of having this is that people who live this lifestyle and love it is to bring other people into it, not to intimidate people out of it. So that's an awesome
Exactly. We
thing
do
to
as much as we can to try to take away as many of those obstacles, those barriers to fitness as we can. We provide play lounge, so kids can come while, usually it's moms, but dads are welcome too. Because sometimes that makes it hard. We have a shower at the studio, so if you are
that's
going
great.
from
Right,
class and then you
yeah.
got to go straight to work, you can freshen up. We are in a really convenient shopping center, so you can go to class and then get your groceries. And even within the class, my favorite thing about Barre 3 and why I love it so much is I've heard you use the word adapt a lot. We really encourage people in class to adapt. It's one of the things that makes it good for everyone. So you can dial it up, you can dial it down. Sometimes your back hurts, but your knees feel fine. Or some days you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed and your neck is aching. Or it's your first class and you've never worked out before. Everyone can do it. My mom is in Mobile and she's doing it, and she's got 4 pins in her knee from a car accident, and she can do it. You know, we have clients who are in their 70s. We have clients who are in high school.
That's great.
It's really something to find for everyone, right? It's about being
Yeah.
something that you can just make a habit. You
Oh,
use that word too, and
yeah.
that's really great, because when things become habits, they become easier to incorporate in your life.
Right.
And that just lets you have more opportunities to feel happy, to feel healthy.
Well, let's take a break from business for a moment. Sometimes we learn more about our guests and their businesses by asking something sort of off the wall. So if you could train or have someone in your program, Kirk, a famous celebrity or cultural icon, someone you admire, alive today, who would it be? And Nicole, same thing. If you could invite someone to take one of your Barre classes, anybody, who would it be and why?
Who would it be and why? So there's a young author. He's a productivity author. I follow his work extensively just to learn from him. His name is Chris Bailey. He's got 2 books. One is called The Productivity Project, and the other called Hyperfocus. And what I love about him is he is very productivity and how you make yourself more productive has been talked about extensively with businesses everywhere. But what I find when I read a productivity book is that it's either excessively technical or excessively high. It's not practical.
Right.
And his book was very much to the point and very, very practical about very useful things, in which he took a year to, after he finished college, to simply spend the entire year running tests on himself and researching and talking to experts to see if these things actually worked.
Wow.
And he wrote a book on it, and he came back later and said, look, I'm still doing this today, and they do work. All these things that I'm telling you to do, these things work, and this is how you implement them. And for someone like that, I'd love to work with him, if nothing more, to learn more from
Sure.
him on how you implement these things and make them actually stick for people. Like we're saying, the most important thing is not the most sciencey new thing on the block. It's how do you do stuff in your life that makes you healthy and happy, and continuously do them over and over again so they work, as opposed to I start here on Monday morning and then I'm done by Friday afternoon.
Chris Bailey. All right.
Chris Bailey. He's
very
he's
good.
An awesome
Good
writer.
answer, Kirk. Did we come up with anybody, Nicole?
My gut instinct is telling me I'd want to have Oprah in my class.
Okay. That's awesome.
For a few reasons, partly because I think that she's done a lot of stuff, so I think like at the end we'd be able to have a really interesting conversation.
No question.
But I mean, maybe she would give me a car at the end if it was a really good class. But she's got her podcast, her Super Soul Sunday Conversations, and so
I didn't know about that.
They're really good, and she's really tapped into sort of this mindfulness series that I think is just starting to emerge as like the new wellness thing, right? The new wellness, like what's next?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like we'd be able to have some really good conversations about like people she's talked to, things that she's learned. And so it's as much about like, I want her to come because I think I could learn a lot and have some really interesting conversation. But I'm sure I would be like too nervous to actually teach it. I'd be falling all over myself.
Well, that's a good answer too. We hear a lot about mindfulness. It's one of these
really
words
on the
that's
verge,
thrown around a lot. But what does it really mean? And how does it really impact our wellness or our healthfulness or our state of being?
Great question. I mean, it's just kind of like that invisible thing that you take for granted. It's like your car. When the engine is running smoothly, you don't hear it, you don't notice it, everything's great. And when something is wrong, the car starts to make a little noise. It like starts to get a little rickety, like maybe it starts to pull a little. And that is kind of like our minds can get out of tune like our car, right? All of the stress that we have, all of the things, like we're so focused on multitasking. Like that's the world. How much can you get done? How many things can you do? How much can you succeed? And it starts to take its toll on the mind, and it starts to build stress in the body, and it starts to build all of the adrenaline and the cortisol that comes with it. And the mindfulness it's not about checking out. It's about being able to focus your thoughts and being able to calm your body down.
That's exactly right. Mindfulness it's emerging, and one of the ways I've heard a speaker talk about it, and it's training for your brain. Like we do cardio and weightlifting
like
for our body. Literally, what you're doing is attempting to focus a part of the brain or attempting to work a part of the brain that helps you focus on one thing at a time. The benefits of this are huge and been seen in research. There's studies on the brain that are showing that parts of the brain can actually grow and expand, and other parts shrink. So the ones that help with self-control, emotional control, calmness, mood improvement, those actually grow for people who practice mindfulness. And parts that deal with aggression and emotional trauma, those parts actually shrink. And this is something that has been seen in science, and it's very, very cool. It's a little awkward. Most people don't know about mindfulness, don't understand what it is. Sometimes it can seem a little
is this like
off the wall.
old-fashioned meditation?
That's
pretty
what
much
usually
is.
people think about, right? That you
But it's
have to
not,
be like super calm and super enlightened and sit on a pillow with your hands folded neatly on your knees.
Right.
And it's not.
That's
It's
not
you
it.
can do it anywhere.
Really?
You can do it anyhow. There's so many ways to practice mindfulness. There's apps that you can use now. It's
Some really good
just
ones.
one of those things where like even if you just have 5 minutes a day.
See, I am so inherently skeptical of an app that is going to make me mindful, that is going to enhance my mindfulness. To me, there's something a little counterintuitive about that.
I totally hear that.
Right?
But it's really hard to just sit down on your own and you're like, okay, I'm going to meditate now. I'm going to be,
I
I'm gonna
agree.
be
That's
mindful
hard.
for 10
That's
minutes.
also very difficult.
Turn
I've
on the
tried that.
timer, ready, go. And like
It doesn't work.
No, it's like it can work. It just takes a
It's
long
hard.
time
You
to
sort
get
of-
there,
right?
right?
You have to
It's
know
like-
what you're doing ahead of time.
Yeah,
right?
it's
As
going
opposed to
from
somebody
like being
guiding
on the
you.
couch to running a marathon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You need a coach to get you through that.
Exactly.
There's one called 10% Happier, in which they have
Write this
meditation.
down.
Yeah, 10% Happier is a book and a mindfulness app, and it's meditation experts. And in the beginning of each meditation, they actually talk you through the rational reasons. It's not hyper out there or anything like this. This is legitimate. This is what's going on. It's used as a science and a practice as opposed to a spiritual function. And with that, then after talking you through, they bring you to the point of mindfulness. And when you're doing meditation, we think about those things. You think about just sort of spirituality, but in practice, that's not what it's about. It's no different than in praying in practice. It's about keeping your focus on one thing, whether it's how you're breathing, whether it's what you hear, it's what you feel. It's being able to do that when your mind wanders and goes somewhere else, which inevitably it does, recognizing, I'm thinking about craziness out here. How did this come up? I'm off topic. Come back and let me focus. And what that does for you when you're working, because this is a big part of corporate wellness now, it helps to deal with resilience, mental resilience to stress, and being able to be more productive, because inevitably we get interruptions. All of these phones and everything interrupt us constantly. Being mindful is like weightlifting for your brain that allows you to focus on one thing at a time and do a really good job and get distracted less. And at work, that allows you to perform better. With relationships, it means you're more likely to sit and talk with a person and listen to them and give them space, as opposed to waiting to give your answer back and checking your phone every few seconds.
Right?
This is like a training program for your brain to be able to do that in real life better, to give you an actual skill. So I agree with you. I think it's coming on.
So I have a couple more apps for you if you want them later.
Okay, good. Yes.
And so this is something that Barre 3 has taken a position on. We are incorporating mindfulness into class, and for us, like you said, there's so many things that you can choose to focus on, and we choose the breath. Because that also has benefits for your nervous system. And so we have a few minutes at the end of every class where we just guide you through some mindful breathing. And then throughout the 60 minutes of class, we usually, when you're in a hold and it feels really hard and it feels like your muscles are going to explode, we start to draw your attention back to your breath and guide you back through that so that can feel present in the whole 60 minutes.
Well, I wish we had 60 minutes to continue this conversation.
Right?
Unfortunately, we're out of
so
time.
long.
But Nicole Cummins and Kirk Vadrine, you both are bringing great products and services to the health and wellness market here in Baton Rouge, and we're lucky to have such enterprising small business owners keeping us all on the right track. It's been a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks
so
for having
much.
us.
Good luck with your continued success. My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Kirk Vadrine of VWell Solutions and Nicole Cummins of Barre 3. You can find out more about VWell Solutions and Barre 3 by going to our website, itsbatonrouge.la. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti. And our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino and Ann Edelman. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on our website, itsbatonrouge.la, and on our It's Baton Rouge Facebook page. These photos were taken by Carrie Hosford, and you can find more of Carrie's photos at carriehosford.com. You can hear this show and past episodes of Out to Lunch wherever you get podcasts and at itsbatonrouge.la. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansur's for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch Baton Rouge is recorded live over lunch at Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansur's is open for lunch daily 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.